Coincidentally, last night he watched a porno called Ukrainal Invasion. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. The judgment got a mandate. You get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, right, Gina Graham?
That's right.
And Bald Brian, I'll heal your dick. All right, I got things, a rush of thoughts and memories and ideas. So,
and we want to hear about yesterday with Maher.
Oh, and yesterday. All right, so I got some. Last night was watching reruns of Three's Company and had some Suzanne Somers thoughts, and then I had some John Ritter thoughts, and so I went to Bill Maher's house yesterday. Bill should be on this show shortly, maybe in the next few weeks.
Wow. Will not be here, but he'll be on the show.
He did buy the property next to his, and he did turn it into his sort of sanctuary. The property next to his was Ben Affleck, who he bought it from.
Ooh la la.
And his grotto, for lack of a better term, is not a new building. My theory about pulling a permit on a new whatever, no, it is, in fact, when Bill was talking about the shack, he had to put his transformer in for his solar panel, whatever. That is, in fact, what he was talking about, the structure that I did. Hey, he could have built other things on the property. It looks like there's some building going on, but the grotto, den, man cave, whatever that I was did the interview in yesterday was, in fact, Ben Affleck's old gaming room.
Amazing.
God.
These rich people just trading gaming rooms.
Freestanding gaming room.
Sure,
like,
of course.
A nice, had a, I don't know if he had a bar in it, but it now has a bar. It has
Ben Affleck.
All the Ben, now, yes, it probably had a bar in it. It's got a bathroom. It's got some rooms. It had his gaming room in there. And it's got a pool table and a lot of memorabilia.
A lot of poker played in there, probably.
Sure, yeah.
Probably.
Do you need a man cave when you're the only one in your main house?
Well, it was kind of a weird thing because at some point Mike said to the producers,
he's like, with the important questions.
He's like,
isn't the whole thing a man cave?
Where is, there's no monitor in the whole place. Like, now, how would you go there and watch the game with your bros? And the guy's like, yeah, Bill doesn't watch games with bros. He invites ladies over for dancing.
To watch the game.
Right. So you don't really need the you don't need the monitor.
He's really got it all figured out.
A lot of space freed up.
Yeah.
But so I went in there and they're doing a vid podcast, whatever. Hasn't aired yet. Then Bill, not wearing a suit or anything, casually dressed, gets good and baked, and then just comes in and sits down, and you have this free-form conversation. But Bill's pretty damn stoned during this.
It's not highly structured?
Conversation. No. So I got a drink in my hand, and Bill's got a doobie in the other. And then the conversation goes where the conversation goes. But it was very funny. And he hugged me.
Wow.
At the end, feels very
He stabilized himself?
That's right. It's interesting to see Bill Maher out of the element of the suit and the prompter and the sort of pace and the vitriol, perhaps, and the agenda. It's just Bill Maher wearing a T-shirt and a flannel, smoking a doobie, and kind of talking about life and all that is attached to it. So that was a good time. I have more thoughts about that as well, which I sort of harken back. I was thinking, so I've done PI. I used to be a very regular guest on PI, very sporadically on Bill's new show, very sporadic. And maybe I've been on twice in, I don't know, 15 years or however long it's been. And at some point, his producer guys were like, you always bring it. Bill loves you. This is HBO. HBO doesn't want you. The HBO's made a decision.
Wow.
And then I hearken back on the conversation that I had with one of the lead douchebags at HBO who was... they're
there may have caused a problem.
HBO are dickheads. Fuck HBO is what I'd like to say. But we went and saw a premiere of Andre the Giant.
Oh yeah,
and
fun documentary.
Yeah, and I was talking to. It really should be called "What Does Hulk Hogan Think of Andre the Giant?" Because it was a lot of Hulk Hogan just telling stories.
Yeah.
But still, good doc. I enjoyed it. And I was talking to Vince Vaughn, who was there for quite some time during the after party. And then at some point, maybe I was talking to Bill Simmons, and it was pointed out to me that, oh, that's a guy from HBO who does docs.
Oh.
And I said, oh, well, that's good because I got this uppity doc that we're just putting the final touches on. And it's sports, and it's a black man triumphing, overcoming.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, that would run nicely on HBO. And so I went and talked to the guy, and he was, kind of lukewarm, a little standoffish. But I said, well, give me your contact. I'll get you uppity. I think you'll respond to it well. And I followed up, and I got him the whatever, and. He sort of wrote back this curt email and said, like, I watched some of it and I didn't really like it. And I said, well, maybe you should watch the whole thing because it does kind of come around at the end. And he's like, yeah, I've seen enough.
Oh boy,
so then
not a fan.
I wrote back, well, okay, well, maybe not this time around, but there's, Maybe next time, but if you're ever in L.A. and you want to see some of Paul Newman's race cars, hit me up because I got most of them. And then he wrote back, I don't like cars. And then I thought, oh, fuck you, dick. And by the way, this is how it works. This is our new world order. HBO's decided they don't like me, and thus here we are. And by the way. This whole Jules Dash notion I floated about 8 years ago, it's never been truer.
Yeah.
It's 100% true. There's no HBO, there's no Sundance, there's no anything, because these guys are pompous, arrogant pricks who believe that you have to be in lockstep with them on every social subject there is, otherwise you shall be punished and blackballed. That's the way they roll. So I want to say to HBO, suck my fucking hairy dick, you pussies. Fuck you.
Well said.
All right.
So Bill Maher has been on HBO for a million years. He has a gajillion dollars. At what point do they let off the leash and he gets to pick his own guests? I really don't know how that works.
Feels like Bill would call his own shots.
Unless they hate you that much that you are the exception.
There's only one thing you can't do, Bill.
That could possibly be it, but after the splendid time we had the other night, who knows? That may
great.
change.
Perhaps I know I'm naive. But it shocks me as a movie lover how little people in the industry care about movies. You know what I mean? Like the guy can't be bothered. I know people very well who have been, this is going to upset you, but I'll tell you anyway, who have been, they've screened movies for Sundance. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, give us a write-up, tell us what you think. You're one of the people who's going to help us decide whether this movie gets in. And they fast forward through the movies, they watch, do other stuff, watch half the movie. I think, Chris, maybe you can verify. I think it was Alec Baldwin on maybe it was Howard Stern, years ago, whatever it was. He was like, yeah, I got the screeners, for Best Actor, for consideration, for Emmys, for Oscar, for whatever. And fast forward, I watch a few scenes of the person. I was like, you do what?
Yeah,
you're supposed to, you're in the movies. You're living the dream.
Can I be a one-upper?
Please.
This will probably get somebody fired. I knew someone very well for many years that let me vote for them because they just didn't feel like it.
Oh, for the awards?
Yeah.
I think
for the Emmys.
How much people don't care about the thing they do.
It's true.
I think it is a lot like Comic-Con and the celebrity and the Space Force movie who really doesn't know that much about the nuts and the bolts. Like Shatner not knowing every episode of Star Trek and stuff. It's the fans.
Yeah.
Whenever I've interviewed a race car driver, like an Indy driver, and I've said to them, what's the power plant in that car? And they go, I think it's like a 1.3 liter Cosworth. And then I'd go 1.3, and they'd go, I don't know. And then I'd go, maybe 2.3, and they'd go, yeah, maybe it's 2.3.
Anyway.
Like, and they just drive the car. In other words,
Wow.
they're not always
build it.
enthusiasts, and they're not always mechanics
Right.
or anything, or gearheads. They're literally guns for hire, which I think is what we're up against
Yeah,
here.
the ultimate example, Dan Micek's pointed it out many times, is athletes have no idea of the history of their own sport. You know what I mean? They recognize old names or, you know.
Yeah. Coach Ditka, you don't know what it's like to strap on a helmet and go out there and play or do 2-a-days. Like,
Precisely.
yes, he does. All right. So the other thing, as I was thinking, so then there's the whole Russian thing. And I was thinking the other day, I always marvel at like how long things go on. Here we are, 2022. We thought we'd be living in the future and the Jetsons and all the
Flying
promises.
cars, yeah.
And it's all, first things first, it's like tanks are rolling into the Ukraine. Well, the tanks are 100 years old now. I mean, you see the tanks, they're from World War I is basically when they were invented or implemented. And it's essentially the same thing. It's got the tracks, got the gun on the front, maybe a little air conditioning in the newer ones, got a diesel engine in the back, like it's armored. It's
AM, FM.
Yeah, the same thing. Same, maybe in the 70s they had an 8-track or something in there.
Now
but
they have Sirius.
best of Gordon Lightfoot.
They have a line-in jack.
But it's kind of 100 years on,
Yeah.
and they're just tanks rolling in. And then, speaking of time, I started thinking about this Sting solo album
Of course you did.
because he had a song about Russia from 1985.
Oh, wow.
37 years ago, Sting. See what he did there?
Wow.
Wow.
Ominous.
All right. So
Powerful.
whatever these problems are, man, they got legs. This is a marathon, not a sprint. I mean, we've been talking about the same shit. Look, it all comes
Singing
out.
about the same shit.
If someone's singing about it, that's the zeitgeist
Right.
of what we're doing
Right.
now.
That's the
Whatever
moment.
song is coming out
Yeah.
is where we're at. Could be disco. We're in a different place. Could be an anti-war song from the 60s, but that's the zeitgeist of the world, really. It's not even this country. Obviously, Sting's in Europe. All right, but the thing that was funny about this is I said to Chris the other day, based on a lot of stuff we're talking about songs that ended up being made into movies.
Yep.
And I was thinking, God, some were TV movies, some were feature-length films, but it just used to be a song coming full circle. Oh, you don't have this one on here, Chris. I don't think. But anyway, Convoy was a song that got made into a movie.
More timely than ever.
Yeah.
So more timely than ever.
Brian, you should know.
Yeah, it's etched.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Your uncle had that thing blaring, wall to wall and treetop tall.
I wouldn't have brought it up, but this is kismet. My uncle was high school classmates with Suzanne Somers.
Suzanne Somers.
He was.
Well, it's all
Amazing.
coming around now. This was made into a film. I can't remember why I left this one off, but it was on my list. Anyway, 1975. So Convoy was a song. They made it into a movie. Harper Valley PTA was a song that got made into a television series with Barbara Reed and Jeannie. Ode to Billy Joe, and Billy Joe jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge.
Okay.
That was made into a film, 1976. We didn't need much to make a movie back then.
Just a catchy title.
The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia.
Vicki Lawrence.
Carol Burnett. That was also made into a film in 1981. But the thing that was funny, or kismety or something, is I was saying to Chris, I want to find these songs that are made into movies. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in that subject. And then I said, and the Sting song about Russia. I want to hear that one too. And he lumped it in with songs that were made about movies or movies that were made from songs.
Yeah, made to Ruskies.
And so he gave me this list, and there. What was it?
Ruskies. There was a movie that came out in like '87 about a Russian who like washed ashore in Miami.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it a humorous romp?
No, I think it's like a heartfelt. Like he was found by some local kids, and they like made friends. Even though he was Russian, he was a bad guy. Like it's it's a schlocky.
Oh.
So it turns out the Russian song from Sting, and the reason it got onto my list, does have some connection to movies too. Which is James Cameron said the song inspired him to create the character of John Connor in Terminator 2.
What?
That's really?
Yeah, so
that's
he
what it
says,
said.
Quote, I remember sitting there once, high on E, writing notes for Terminator, and I was struck by Sting's song that, quote, I hope the Russians love their children too. And I thought, you know what? The idea of a nuclear war is just so antithetical to life itself, and that's where the kid came from.
Okay.
He said that in 2021 last year, so.
He took the scenic route. It wasn't A to B, but I like it.
Yeah, so there is that connection there.
Wow.
No shit.
As well. All right, so let's see. Suzanne Somers. So.
Anything from Ruskies?
I see what you can find. So a couple things. I was like, I miss John Ritter, who died in 2003.
It's been a long time.
Been almost 20 years for John. And then I was watching an episode, and Three's Company was John Ritter doing slapstick the whole time. It's like big time, physical stuff.
Yeah.
The episode I saw last night, he'd gotten poison oak. He was making out with some big guy's wife in the bushes and got poison oak. And like the big guy's like, well, no one would make out in those bushes. There's poison oak there. And he had to scratch himself the whole time. Like, and the guy would look at him and, what are you doing? Oh, nothing. Like it was all, there was almost no writing. It was all just huge physical shit. That episode they did after Suzanne Somers left. I think there was a.
The new blonde.
The new blonde.
What was her name?
I can't.
Not Chrissy.
You watched it.
I can't remember.
Cindy.
So, and then I was thinking about the opening. They had to do a new opening.
Right.
They did the original opening, but I was like, in the opening, the two different openings they did for Three's Company, John Ritter did pratfalls.
Okay.
In both of them. Like they didn't do an opening without him doing something physical.
Dick Van Dyke-ish.
Yeah, the first one, and by the way, you can play the first one because they're all the same theme. This is him riding his 10-speed down the boardwalk in Venice or Santa Monica. No homeless people, by the way.
Oh, look, it's gorgeous.
It's pristine. Where's the homeless?
Come and knock on our door.
He's rolling down the boardwalk on his bike, and a chick in tight shorts goes by, and into the sand. Spills over.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jack.
And then the next one, they shot at the LA Zoo. Once again, I don't know why anyone didn't raise their hand. He was a poon hound, you know what I mean? Back when it was cool or something.
It was expected.
And now they rolled into the LA Zoo, and John Ritter was sitting on the fence.
With all his ladies.
With his ladies. And
orangutan.
Sitting up on the fence. And a hot chick blows by again. He's checking her ass out. Then he falls off the fence. Like
Into the monkey
he
cage.
loses his equilibrium when a chick walks by him. All right. So what the fuck were we watching in the late 70s and the early 80s?
High concept.
High concept shit. And then I was remembering this weird, small little chapter in my life, which was the Love Line was about to launch on MTV. And once Love Line launched on MTV, it was on MTV every night for an hour. It was just the default setting for every strip club and nightclub and bar. They just have MTV running on because you don't need the sound for it. It's sort of like CNN is at the airport, just on, you know what I mean?
Ironically, it's music television.
I was just on all night everywhere, and I went from, no one knew who I was swinging a hammer a year and a half earlier for a living to, that guy from that show. But right before it came on the air, and we were doing Love Line on K-Rock, and maybe it was starting to get syndicated at that point. So I was like, people kind of knew who I was, but no one recognized me because they didn't see me. And I was somehow signed with William Morris, and they were doing some show that I've talked to you guys about before called Ordinary Extraordinary. And it's like news and they'd show clips of guys, trying to ride a unicycle and eating shit or something. And then somebody setting a record for something, and they do like an in-studio stunt. It was one of those
clip show kind of thing,
ensemble-y things.
That's incredible.
Right. It was one of those shows. It had like real
That's
people, and That's Incredible
was a show.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And they'd always get three people, and Leanza Cornett, who was like Miss America, was the chick. John Ritter they were kind of the host, and then I was the guy from the News of the Extraordinary. Like I worked the news.
You're the
desk.
correspondent.
You were?
They had like a set. Yeah.
Wow.
And I was
built
like
it.
from the news, and so first things first. They were like, okay. All the stage space is taken up in Los Angeles, and we need to shoot this in Orlando at Disney. They had stage space there. So we all had to get on a plane and head out to Orlando to shoot the pilot. It was, and I sat next to John Ritter on the flight leaving out of L.A. I don't know if Leanza Cornett was like coming from North Carolina or something, but for some reason it was just me and John sitting next to each other on the flight. And of course I knew who John Ritter was.
Sure.
I'd grown up watching Three's Company and all the Blake Edwards movies and shit like that, but he had no idea who I was, and nobody did, but I was going to go shoot this thing, and I remember at the time, I went from not learning to read in junior high and high school to a construction site to a boxing gym and a construction site. I never learned to read. And these guys were like, don't worry, we'll load the whole thing up in the prompter.
No!
We'll just have the live audience there. You don't have to memorize any of it. We'll roll that prompter. You stare right down the camera and just read it.
Memorizing would be easier.
You know the lines you can't read when they'll be moving up.
Right. And I remember the time going, oh, dear God, these people think I can read. They think I'm educated. They think I'm an actor. They think I can handle this. I have no experience other than going on the radio and just sort of free forming it. I can't. And so I remember I had anxiety about it. The guys who ran the production company were like kind of dicks about it. Like when we went to rehearse and I was like stumbling through the prompter and like, hey man, get it together. It's right in the prompter. Jesus Christ, come on.
Blind?
The guy's high again.
Yeah. And I was like, oh fuck. I can't really tell them I can't read. I don't know what to do.
They do.
And was now it actually premiered. They actually made a series out of it.
What was it called?
Ordinary Extraordinary. But I shot the pilot with Ritter. So we weren't on the series. They probably hated me, but they offered me basically like a SAG day rate.
Yeah.
Well, like
meals and a stipend.
$200. Yeah.
$249, and if you have to work around smoke, we'll give you a $10 bump.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like that's as a regular on a network series, and I was like, no.
Right.
Especially in those days.
Yeah,
it was like real money back then.
They
It's
obviously
like internet shit now.
didn't offer Ritter enough either, and so what's his name from the Dukes of Hazzard, John.
Wopat?
No, the other one, John. I can't think of his last name. Ended up being the host with some other chick. I can't remember. Well, you'll go. Oh yeah,
John Schneider.
John
Schneider.
Schneider. Right. He was
Tom
the host.
Wopat.
Right. So, you have the synopsis of the show, Chris. Ordinary, extraordinary.
Yeah, so it's an entertainment special highlighting extraordinary feats by ordinary people, including the story of a man who survived after losing half his brain in an accidental shooting.
Oh, Black Kid. Yeah, I did that one from the. His name was like Ahmed or something, some version of that. Anyway, I remember that one from the pilot.
Yeah, a bicycle champ who speeds down a ramp and does 2 complete backflips on his bike.
Oh my God!
Back then, revolutionary.
Can I tell you? Let me just tell you. I will give you Adam Carolla, as Adam Carolla is Adam Carolla in his purest form. That was done by a couple of X Game guys. One of them was an X Game guy. He had a brother, and they did the freestyle BMX. And I was in the studio when they set up the ramp, and they did the whole thing. And I've told you guys this before, but it's me. It's me. It's perfect me. He's got the BMX bike. He's at the top of the ramp, you know. And of course, I like BMX. I used to race a little BMX. I like mechanical shit. The guy's going to do a flip, and I'm looking at the BMX bike. The BMX freestyle bikes have these big aluminum knurled pegs that are screwed on to the front axle and the rear axle, because at some point when they're doing their freestyle routine, they get off the bike, they get off the pedals, they stand on the front pegs, they whip the bike around, then they go to the back and they stand on the buddy pegs, they call them. They're aluminum and they stuck out about 4 inches on all 4 corners, front axle, rear axle, and they're spinning around, they're doing the whole thing. So I go up to the guy, and I go, what are we doing with the pegs? And he's like, freestyle bike. I said, yeah, but you're not going to do a freestyle routine. And he's like, no, I'm going to try doing a double flip. And I'm like, yeah, but what if you eat shit and one of the pegs that goes in your ribs or your eye socket or something? It's a little extra weight. You just tighten up the nut. It's a regular bike.
Right.
It's got an axle and a nut on the end of it. And
one less, though.
Seems like a little less weight for you to gyrate. And
more peace of mind.
I know this is part of the freestyle scene, but you're not freestyling. We're not Venice Beach here. We're in a studio doing a double back.
4 less weapons to impale yourself with.
And everyone looks at me like, well, what do you know about freestyle bikes? Anyway,
Pipe down.
Go hit the desk of the extraordinary and shut up. He's rehearsing. Eat shit. The fucking peg goes into his ribs. Oh, how could it not when you miss a double back and there's 4 of these things protruding from the corners of the bike?
Oh, my God.
That is my entire world. That's my entire life. That's me. That's everything I do. That's what it is. I just sat there at the desk of the extraordinary, watch him do 2 flips, ate shit, went right into his ribs.
So is the extraordinary thing watching him bleed out?
He
ordinary death.
They weren't. I don't know if they're probably rolling on it. This is before the audience came in and stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Peter Billingsley and Joaquin Phoenix in Rooskies.
Oh,
what?
No shit.
Ralphie from Christmas Story and Joaquin Phoenix?
I know that.
Yes.
And Joaquin went by Leaf Phoenix at the time.
This is back in the... hi, Gary.
Hi, Gary.
Yeah, this guy's name was... The guy on the bike was named like Mears or something like that, I think.
I saw this in the
I think that was
That's
his
an
thing.
unlikely duo.
But anyway, that's I'll tell you the John Ritter story later, the book that came out. You'll Never Sleep in This Town Again, that had him prominently featured in it. That just come out before we got onto the plane.
Not flatteringly.
Oh, okay.
Had
Sort
a
of a
tell all about.
Oh.
He was married.
No, boy.
But
like the ladies.
But he had a girlfriend at the time.
Okay.
And she was pretty pissed that there was a third female in the mix.
That's a real violation.
Yes, you'll never make love in this town again. All right, is Suzanne Somers waiting in the wings here?
I think so, yes.
All right, so let me remind me to catch
was it
you up.
Dave Mira?
Dave Mira.
Oh,
That's right.
Man.
Yeah, big freestyle guy. I think his brother did it too. I think he pulled off the double. I mean, he got up, he
Eventually.
patched himself
Pulled it
up.
out,
And
pulled it off.
The double peg.
Also, when Adam Carolla walks over to you and goes, "What's up with this?" That's your little window right there to go.
What is up with this?
But it's how people roll. Literally, he was trying to do something that had never been done before on a freestyle bike, and he had these projectiles like sticking out from all four corners. And I'm like, you don't need that for this. And he's like, yeah, that's the way we do it. All right, let me tell you about Simply Safe. Today's episode is brought to you by Simply Safe Home Security. Ever wanted to know what's happening in your home when you're not there? Well, the new wireless outdoor camera from Simply Safe lets you see what's happening outside right from your phone. This, you just put the app in, get it, and you can check. I could look right now and see Phil wandering around the back, or see if the pool guy's not skimming. Normally, you don't want people to skim when they're at work, but the pool guy, you like him to skim. Everything to keep your home safe. Entry, motion sensors, indoor, outdoor cameras, 24/7 professional monitoring, ready to dispatch police, firefighters, and EMTs. Less than $1 a day, no long-term contracts, nothing to set up. You can set it up in like 30 minutes. Customize your home's perfect system in a few minutes at simplysafe.com/Adam and get a free indoor security camera plus 20% off interactive monitoring when you go to simplysafe.com/Am. All right, we will take a quick break. Suzanne Somers right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Adam. Wanted to know what you thought about this. I don't like wasting food and stuff, too. So in the mornings when I get up, I go around the house. I get all the water bottles that the kids and the wife have drank during the day, that they've left a little bit in the bottom, and I pour it into Keurig to make my coffee. Does that make me crazy? Yeah, call me back.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
No, I admire your spunk, kid. You remind me of a young me. Suzanne Somers is joined us. She is coming all the way from Palm Springs, California.
Nice to see you're not in your garage.
I know.
My husband wants to go back to your garage. He loves it.
Tell Alan he's welcome to come by anytime he likes. I know from watching episodes of real estate shows that you were trying to sell your real estate in Palm Springs. And I don't know if you ever did it or you're still at that residence now.
It was bizarre. An old guy, 89, he's now 90, walked onto the property, looked around. He's French and rich, and he saw 2 rooms, 10 bedrooms there, and he said, this is where I want to spend the rest of my life. What do you want? Which at that point, I knew we should have asked a few million more, and he bought it, cash, in the bank. Boom. It had been up for sale for, I think, 13 years. He was the first person who ever made an offer and bought it. But I have to ask you something. John Ritter book. What?
Oh, remember?
You just dropped that one. I'm going, what?
Sorry. Well, let's talk about that, and then we'll get into all that Suzanne's up to.
Yeah.
I sat next to Ritter on a flight in March of 1996.
Right.
I was a nobody. He was John Ritter. And he was upset that this book had just dropped, You'll Never Make Love in This Town Again, which chronicled many celebrities. And Chris, you can come up with the celebrities that were in this book.
James Caan, Timothy Hutton, Jack Nicholson, Warren Beatty, John Peters, Vanna White, Dennis Hopper, Billy Idol, Gary Busey.
Oh,
many celebrities. He was in good company, but it was...
Was it You'll Never Make Love in This Town or Never Eat Lunch in This Town? Love, huh?
Yeah, it was probably a play on that book, but it was Love. And it was just some prostitute or somebody basically explaining, here's all the guys I've slept with, and John was not happy because he was out of his marriage and in with his girlfriend who was, what's her name? Brian will figure out. Spaceballs? No,
Daphne
Robin
Zuniga?
Hood.
Oh.
Redhead. You'll figure it out.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amy Yasnick.
And she had a baby
Amy
with
Yasnick.
Amy. Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
So deep.
Yeah, that was...
Yeah. She was really in love with him.
it wasn't the wife that was pissed off. I think this took place on her watch.
I see.
Yeah.
Amy's watch, who he later married and had a kid with, and it was a tell-all. I can let you hear some of it if you'd like, Susan.
Well, John was a horny guy. I mean, you know.
He played a great horny guy in Three's Company.
Yeah.
But
he was always
it did
very touchy.
It did kind of make me wonder, ever any romance with John Ritter?
Not with me, because you know, Chrissy Snow and Jack Tripper had this on-camera relationship that you wouldn't do that with Chrissy Snow. But I remember after I was fired from that show for having the audacity to ask to be paid commensurate with the men in TV who were all making 10 to 15 times more than me, including John. And my contract was up, and I got fired for asking because Laverne and Shirley had just renegotiated, and they gave ABC a colonic. So ABC decided the next high-profile woman who dares, and I was the next high-profile woman.
Make an example.
So whatever they told that cast and crew, none of them ever talked to me again. In fact, if I would see one of them on the street, even the wardrobe guy, they'd do that about face, like they hadn't seen me. And it was like I was being shunned. And so, I don't know, 10 or 20 years later, I had a daily talk show on the internet, Cafe Mom, 7 minutes long as determined by the attention span of the internet. And so this producer in New York said, I took the liberty of inviting Joyce DeWitt on your show. And I said, why would you do that? We don't really talk to one another. So I go back to my hotel room that night, and I'm lying in the bathtub. I thought, how stupid of me, how egotistical of me. It's a fantastic rating getter. We can really, and it really was a big ratings getter. So she came on, and she said she had one thing. She didn't want me to ambush her. And I said, I have one thing. I don't want to see you until you actually walk on, so that it's an authentic hello. I'll either feel what I feel or I won't feel. And I did. I hugged her, and it was warm. And I sat down and I said, you know, I have had a lot of therapy. And in therapy, you learn to see the part you played in every drama of your life. And I said, so I understand probably you must have resented me because you had all the awards and you were the USC or UCLA or one of those schools, the big thing, and got the scholarship. And then ABC scouted you and you were under contract. And I came in and announced that I hadn't studied any acting, but that I did have the lead in Guys and Dolls in high school.
Adelaide.
Adelaide. And I was really good. And I got a scholarship because of it. And Walter Winchell, remember Walter Winchell?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, he had that ticker tape kind of, this is Walter Winchell.
To all the ships at sea.
Yeah, exactly. And so for some reason, he came to the very last show of this high school show. And he walks on stage at the end in that, you know, identifiable trench coat and the pork pie hat. And he comes right up to me and he goes, you're going someplace, sister. So I thought having the lead in Guys and Dolls is a big deal. But when I said that the first day of rehearsal at Three's Company, a Pollard came over the rehearsal hall. Nobody said a thing like, yeah, this is not where you come to learn. But I wanted to say I learned really fast. So back to John Ritter and Joyce DeWitt, why I gave you that backdrop. She came on the show and I said, you know, see, I probably pissed you off because I didn't study the way you study. And now I'm waiting for her turn. And she said, well, Johnny had lots of affairs. And I thought, geez, kick the dead guy.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, and then she revealed in that interview that she was one of them. I went, oh, wow. Well, that's a lot different than when I was on the show. So that's all I know.
Wow.
That's a big scoop, by the way, because not many people watch my 7-minute show.
Well, thank you
Wow.
for those headlines.
I gave you a little, yes, right.
So Three's Company, you started in 77, you went to 81. It was a huge ratings, you know. I don't think people, and I'll make these numbers up, but, you know, when they talk about a show getting 3 million viewers now, it's kind of a big deal. And this is 30 million viewers. And it's but always keep in mind the country only had 200 million, 225 million people in it. So it's like literally 15% of the country's watching this show every night. And they're not taping it. They're watching it in real time.
When there were 3 networks.
Right.
That was all.
So
you didn't have any content.
I want to talk about this pay inequity here because I'm a champion of women's rights, and I want to know. So you're the big draw of the show, at least.
Certainly, John and I were very, very popular.
Right.
I did more publicity than either of the two of them because I understood it. I embraced the paparazzi. I learned their names, and because I thought it's a dance. You know, when you go out and do a red carpet, if you can say, "Hey, Fred, how you doing?" He's going to take some good pictures of you, and we both benefit from it. And so I went out and I was working it like that, and that pissed them off too. I don't know why. I've always been an entrepreneur.
So was it really like 1/10, 1/15 what Ritter was getting paid, or some of the other male actors on the network?
Yeah. Yeah. And then when I went in to renegotiate, not only did I not get a raise, they did offer a $5,000 raise. But, today, Three's Company is one of the highest, if not the highest rated on Hulu, or what's the Pluto. You can see Three's Company on Pluto. I make not one penny in residuals. But I'll tell you something. Three's Company was the greatest gig for me. I got so famous. I got famous for being fired. I remember sitting in my living room one day thinking, oh, why did I do this? Why wasn't I happy with $5,000? Oh, God, why did I do it? And I heard a voice, and we all hear him. We rarely listen, but we hear him. And the voice said, why are you focused on what you don't have? Why aren't you focused on what you do have? And I thought, what do I have? Now I'm talking to the voice. And the voice says, you have enormous visibility. Everybody in this country and many parts of the world know your name. And I realized, wow, that's true. So I said to Alan, I want to do a Vegas act. He said, can you sing? I said, shut up. But I went to Vegas. I became a popular headliner, and in 1985 was voted Las Vegas Entertainer of the Year, along with Frank Sinatra, Male Entertainer of the Year. So that was kind of
nothing.
When you have a moment where you can kind of go screw you. That was kind of my screw you moment.
Speaking of the height of your popularity, I remember as a young man. A young boy becoming a man, using Three's Company.
Was I instrumental?
Well,
I think so.
At some point, when Playboy was a big deal, a pictorial came out of Suzanne Somers in Playboy.
Ooh la la.
It was scandalous because, this is pre-Kardashian and Pam Anderson. This is like
prime time.
Somebody you've seen on TV is naked somewhere and you can see it. And I can't remember 83. I don't remember the year. 84. But those were pictures you'd taken earlier, right? I mean, you didn't do a spread for Playboy.
I did two features for Playboy. One, I was a teenage mother. Here's my sad story. I was a teenage mother, and my son was run over by a car. And he was given a 50-50 chance to live. And the woman who hit him had no insurance. I had no child support, no insurance from the father, and I was broke and being like harassed by bill collectors. And I went on a modeling trip, small M. I was the girl at the end of the car going, isn't this a nice car? And the photographer said, I shoot for Playboy and you have a nice body. And if you got picked for Playmate of the Month, you could get $15,000. Which to me was, wow, that's all the money I could get all these bill collectors off my back. So I took the test shots. They're kind of crappy test shots because I was really insecure and I was kind of trying to hide myself. And he's going, I'm taking naked pictures of you and I'm trying to hide everything. And then when I got Three's Company, that photographer, I had said, no, release them. And then Ace Hardware canceled me from my account, and ABC and Three's Company wanted to fire me for a morals clause. I didn't even know I had one. And then Jay Bernstein, do you remember him?
No.
He was my manager, but he was also Farrah Fawcett's manager. He gave me some great advice. He said, there's a guy downtown, Vernon Scott. He writes the biggest column for AP. You should drive down there and tell him your story and why you took those pictures. He said, I'm not going to go with you. You have to go by yourself. So I got in my car and I drove to downtown LA. When I walked into AP, Vernon was there and he goes, I'm not used to celebrities coming to me. And I sat down in his office and I said, I'm in a heap of trouble. I finally got a shot in life. I had these pictures. I said I didn't want to do them. The guy released them anyway. And he wrote this heartfelt column of why don't we take better care of our girls? And then like the country rallied around me because they really liked Chrissy Snow. They rallied around me. Now, why is there a second one out? In order to get those pictures back from Playboy, they made a deal with me that they would give $50,000 to a charity of my choosing and that we would take beautiful pictures. So we took beautiful pictures. So I've been in Playboy twice, and hopefully those are the one you saw.
I saw the ones where you were covering up by the river.
Okay, those were the test shots.
I know, the ones you hate.
You can so see in my body language, I hated doing it.
Yeah, somehow that added something for me. But look, I'm not proud of that. I was a young man. I've changed.
Done.
I've evolved. Let's not cry over spilled.
Yeah.
Let's call it milk.
But let's call it milk.
Everything that happens in life is an opportunity if you choose to use it that way. And so that worked for me. Being fired worked for me. Everything worked for me. And here I am all these years later. And the only thing I complain about is I work too much. So how great is that?
Yeah, I mean, I go so far back. I remember when your husband, Alan, I brought this up to you before. I think the spokesperson for Alpha Beta Markets. He was like, hi, I'm Alan Hamel for Alpha Beta, and I'm just home watching TV going, I go to Alpha Beta. That's a super shitty market. It's really cheap because we used to go to the one in North Hollywood.
And then Carson started using Alan Hamel Alpha Beta jokes in his monologue.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Well,
in fact, somebody just sent Alan 10 of them that they had collected over the years. So that worked for him. Alan was so famous in Canada. I don't know if you know that. He was the Johnny Carson of Canada. He had the late night talk show. He had the afternoon talk show like Merv Griffin. Everybody loved him up there. But when I was fired, he said to me, you have a real shot, but you don't know what you're doing and you're going to give it away. He said, I'm leaving my show to come take over your career. And I went, no, you can't leave your show. No, everybody loves you up there. And he came down and we've done this thing together. And I think the reason I've reinvented has a lot to do with our partnership. And Thigh Master was quite a wonderful thing.
Was that his or part of him?
That was presented to us. He did the marketing on it, and it was brilliant. It was presented to us, and I saw, wow, inner thighs, that's great. But the way it happened, I bought a pair of nude Manolo Blahnik shoes. She'll know what they are. Mm-hmm. They had pointy toe cleavage. That's really important.
Oh, yeah.
A high arch and a 5-inch heel. And when they're nude, they make your legs look long
and lean.
Yeah, beautiful. So I'm standing in my dressing room in my bra and underpants, and I put the shoes on. I thought, Alan's going to think I'm so stupid for spending so much money on shoes. So I walk out in my bra and underpants, and I said, like my new shoes? And he said, great legs. And I went, that's the commercial. And so if you remember the commercial, it started on those shoes. So then I wrote them off.
Write them off.
Free. The camera panned up my leg with him off camera going, great legs. And we sold, we've sold more now, but at last count, 10 million.
I know there was at least one sold in Overland Park, Kansas, because boy, my mom and I would fight over that thing.
I still use it, yeah.
How long have you been with Alan?
Since 1902. No, 54 years. Wow, 54 years. My whole adult life.
And
I love Alan. Alan is we are in love. It's the greatest thing in my life is my life with Alan.
God, what a blessing to find that life partner and just continue on, especially in a topsy-turvy town and business where it all turns to shit time and time again.
And a man who
he's savvy. He's savvy about business and everything. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Well, I was just thinking he came from this famous background and, he wanted to give that up to help support you. Didn't need to be in the limelight, wanted to support you.
He said, I've talked to everybody I want to talk to. I would call him, well, on weekends when he was finishing, he likes to bank shows. So he would like do one after another hour shows. And I said, who'd you have on your show? He goes, I don't know. I can't read. So at that point was probably time for him to go. But he's never been a woulda, coulda, shoulda. He did it. And so then his thrill was taking what I had put out there, and he's a visionary, and giving it legs. And it's so fun. We do 3 shows a week on Facebook Live and Instagram. That's how we got through the pandemic, and now we're not going to stop. And I have over 25 million books in print. I've written 27 books. And it's a very sticky constituency. And it's an underserved constituency. It's women from 45 and up who nobody's paying attention to them, except they're the ones who have the money. They're not at home, paying for tuition and everything. And I have a message out there that they respond to. It's hormone replacement. It's how to get the chemicals out of your life. And then they start talking to me and they say things like, they get real personal. I'm so constipated. I'm thinking, great. And then I'm so bloated. Great. And I've got gas and I'm farting all the time. Great. And my dog tired. Yeah. And my hair is stringy. And then I realized when they're talking, I'm going to be shameless, but you got gut problems, and everybody's got gut problems. This book that I wrote here called Toxic, this is about what all the chemicals are doing to our GI tracts. And it's really frightening. And all disease starts in the GI tract. And so we created this product.
Gut Renew, I should tell everyone.
Thank you very much.
I tried this morning, by the way.
It's good, isn't it?
It tasted good, and I feel good, although I may have felt good anyway. I mean, I got to be honest. There's
a few rails.
There's a 10% chance I could have felt good anyway.
But wait till you see how you poop on this.
Oh, now we're talking. Live show.
Well, it does strike me that comically, everybody I know has some sort of issue with their gut. I mean, you go out to dinner and they're taking the Pepcid AC and they can't eat this and they're lactose and there's something. Yeah. And all I ever do in life is it's like kids with peanut allergies. How come I never met a kid with peanut allergies when I was a kid? How come I don't meet a kid who doesn't have a peanut allergy now? We didn't change biologically that much in that period of time. Something is going on.
Yeah, something's going on. We are under the greatest environmental assault in the history of humanity. Our food is, grown in poison, sprayed with poison. Who thought that was a good idea? We clean our house with poisons. We put chemical poison creams on our skin. So that's a business that I started. Organic skincare, organic hair care, organic color cosmetics, including lipstick without lead, organic household cleaning products. And it works. And then you add the Gut Renew, which has got the prebiotic and the probiotic and a bunch of stuff that you and I didn't eat today. And it's a lot of work to be healthy now, but look how sick everybody is.
There's a fertility book that's very famous called It Starts with an Egg. And almost wall to wall, the whole thing is about you have no idea the stuff that is legal in this country that is causing you to be infertile. Tupperware, plastic and, all kinds of things. So you're onto something. And I must say that some very dear people in my life have been a huge fan and supporter of your products for many years. And I'm very familiar with many of your lines. And it's a big deal.
I'm passionate about it. I mean, babies are newborn babies. They did a test. I'm trying to remember the exact stats of newborn babies. Hadn't had a single drop of real food outside of their mother's womb, and they all tested like through the roof with toxicity from their mother's womb. Because in the mother's womb, if she's not eating organic food and putting, non-toxic things on her skin, it's all ending up in that baby. And the babies, and we've got an autism epidemic. And I never thought I'd be this person, Adam. I like to make people laugh, and I like to sing, and I like to lie on the piano and sing I Was a Fool. And that's what I really love to do. But maybe because I have stayed relevant through each of my chapters, I have a louder voice like you, And I found with my louder voice that I could get to the best and brightest doctors and scientists and professionals. So I called this guy. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, Ray Kurzweil. He's at MIT, famed futurist. I wanted to talk to him. And Bill Gates has said that Ray Kurzweil is the smartest man on the planet. How do I get to Ray Kurzweil? Well, I called MIT. Suzanne Somers for Ray Kurzweil. I got shunted around. Finally, I get to his office. Suzanne Somers for Ray Kurzweil. What's this about? I said, I want to talk to him about being the most fascinating man on the planet. Hi, Suzanne. Okay, it was manipulative, but I learned a lot from him. And every doctor that I've interviewed teaches me stuff. I didn't go to college. I'm self-taught, and I'm really very aware that not everybody is college material. Not everybody needs to go. Not every family needs to go into debt to put their kids in college. Now with the internet, you can teach yourself and you can make it narrow. You can go right where you want to learn. And right now I'm just constantly looking up the gut, and that's what I'm interested in. So, and I told Alan, I'm 75 now. I told Alan, I said, on my 80th birthday, I want to go back on the Vegas stage and have a residency again. So we'll see.
Does Alan? I look. It's inspiring, and we should all have that as a goal at age 80. But Al, I'm wondering. We were talking about Alan.
Yeah.
Has he taken a lot of shit over the years for being like a Svengali, or being like, no, that guy stands in the shadows and puts her out to work and then cashes checks? Like, there's an optics thing.
Not like an Ike Turner.
It's not really. It is.
No, exactly like that.
It's a double. It's kind of a double standard.
I'm doing it.
Oh my God!
There he is.
I'm doing it.
He's always right
He's
there.
controlling her like a puppet.
I wake her up in the morning, I dust her off, I put her in front of a TV camera, and I say, go.
You monster!
No,
I want every car in your garage.
Well, let me borrow Suzanne for a couple of weekends, and I think we could work something out. So when the woman does it for the man, it's like inspirational. Look at her; she was behind him the whole time, and he couldn't have done it without her. When the guy does it for the woman, it starts blurring the line.
Blink
into
twice if you're okay.
Yeah,
It's big eyes.
is that something he's had to deal with, or you've had to deal with?
No, you know what? I thrive.
He doesn't give a shit.
I thrive on getting shit. Okay, it's my nutrition. I'm working on a new weight loss program called "Get All This Shit You Can."
I will say, like, but on a serious note, in this day and age, the only modality you can have is who gives a fuck, because everyone's on the internet calling you and whatever. Everyone's saying everything about everyone all the time. The only way you can get up and get out of bed is just to go, fuck it. I don't care what they say. I'm cashing checks. Right. I'm happy.
French guy.
Remember we were on Regis and Kathy Lee when they were Regis and Kathy Lee, and Alan doesn't like when I'm out on the street of New York because he's always looking. He's like my Secret Service guy. And Regis said, "Look at Hamel over there. He's just watching everything." And Kathy Lee said, "That's because he's watching his little cash cow."
Oh
wow.
My God.
Ironic.
Right.
And she was married too.
Yeah, and she called you a cow.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Do you remember, was it last year or the year before, when both of you, very low resting pulse, very cool, when that guy wandered onto their property in the middle of your show and you handled it so casually, complimentary, saying, you didn't freak out. Whatever happened?
Well, I thought we were having dinner guests that night. We were doing a show at Big Al's Bar. And I hear noise and I think, God, they are really early for dinner. That's why I said, "Oh, come on in." I say, "Come on in." And when he got closer, I thought, "Who are you?" And he was essentially naked. So I didn't have to worry about if he had a gun or anything. If that was it, it wasn't too impressive. And it's interesting. I either his mother was watching or his mother's friend was watching. One of the people, the viewers, called the police before Alan could go over. And what were you going to do, Al?
I shot him.
Yeah.
We have Alan's Alpha Beta commercial from Days of Yore.
Right. Fabulous.
We found that.
You did?
I watched it as a young child.
We're going to own residuals.
Actually, somebody put together an outtake. I think it's called, whoops, what happened?
Are you there?
We're here.
Yeah.
We're looking at the screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, somebody put together a 5-minute outtake reel from Alpha Beta. It's funny.
We'll,
Yeah, because you yell.
Yeah.
Talk about yell and sell.
all right, we'll see if we can play. We're
going to watch a snippet.
We'll watch a snippet.
Let's get to the bottom of how Alpha Beta saves you money. Fact is, if it isn't one thing you're saving on at Alpha Beta, it's another. Day in and day out, the savings just don't stop.
He's
You name
pulling
the
more
department, we'll
groceries
give
out of
you a
that
way to
bag
save.
than it could
Whether it's on
possibly
produce,
hold.
Like Mary
meat,
Poppins.
Canned goods, household goods. Up one aisle and down another. The way you save it out.
yeah.
How'd they get all that in there?
Amazing.
That
Wow.
the North Hollywood Alpha Beta, maybe the saddest of all the Alpha Betas, was my Alpha
Yeah.
Beta
Was that-
when I was a kid.
Was that Ralph's?
I don't know what it
Pardon
is
me?
now.
Okay,
Who's
they
the
used to
major
open one Alpha Beta every single week.
Wow.
And they opened one. I won't tell you where it was because I may get sued. So from the moment they break ground, the manager's there. So the Alpha Beta was designed for 10 cash registers. He put in an 11th just for himself. And over a period of several years, millions and millions of dollars, no tax. And Alpha Beta didn't go after him because it would have been too embarrassing.
Wow.
But anyway, after I did it for many years. We're in New York and we're having an argument. We took the red eye. We have an appointment. We're going up in the elevator. It's on the 45th floor, but we're going 1, 2, 3. A guy gets on the second floor. He looks at Suzanne. He looks at me and smiles. And then he says, "Tell a friend," which was the tagline.
Right.
And I said, "Fuck you." And now we're all trapped inside this steel. He couldn't wait to get to the next floor. Yeah, that was the end of my Alpha Beta career.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you guys found a new home in the Palm Springs area.
We haven't yet. We're leasing. I don't own this. I'm living with rented everything, but we are building a house.
Yeah, we're building a house right now.
Oh, God bless. I know you were in Malibu. The fire got your place. It was too big a hassle to ever rebuild over there because of the Coastal Commission.
Fire got the first place. The fire chased us out of the second place. Then the third place we found that we were going to buy, and we're living in it. The fire came again so close. It was so exhausting to run from fires all the time. So we're building a beautiful house, one level. The house that we sold that the 90-year-old guy's living in has hundreds of stairs, 10 bedrooms, levels all over the place. And I am so glad to get away from all those stairs. It was time. It was time. So he was sent from heaven.
It's chronicled in, I don't know, Selling Beverly Hills. No, not Selling Beverly
Sunset?
Hills. Not
not Selling Sunset. The other one.
the
Josh
other
Flag.
one. Yeah. Flag is the guy's name.
Sound like Cathedral City.
Yeah, and he didn't really sell it. They did the show. But this guy walked on by himself with these two people that we knew, and we didn't even know why he was there. The other two people were looking, who weren't sent by Josh Flagg, but Alan's a good guy, and he gave Josh commission anyway.
Oh.
And also, the house is kind of, Winchester Mystery House. It's kept going, tiered off, stairs everywhere. So you wouldn't think it would be a great sale for an 89-year-old guy.
No, who has a limp.
Has a limp. Let me give you a plug, Suzanne. The superfood protein formula Gut Renew. I tried it this morning. I have it here. It is wonderful. It's available on her website, SuzanneSomers.com. Join us again soon. I always feel like we just scratch the surface of all the things we could be talking about.
I always enjoy you.
Thanks.
Just want to say one last thing. The Gut Renew, I have to order it in lots of 70 tons at a time. This honestly could be our next Thigh Master. Bye.
From your mouth to God's ears, and give my love to Alan.
Great talking to all of you.
All right. Comedian Ahmed Ahmed is going to join us. Let me hit a spot here. Gold Co. If you have an IRA, a 401k, or a savings account, Things are getting a little scary out there because I don't know what you're getting in your savings account, but it ain't keeping up with inflation. The government printed more money in the past 2 years than the previous 100 combined. The national debt just hit a record of $30 trillion, and inflation at its highest since Adam Carolla graduated from high school in 1982. It's only a matter of time before we got to pay the piper, and if you've got $50K or more in retirement savings, your money could be at risk. Call my friends over at Goldco and see just how you can protect your retirement with gold and silver before it's too late. Call 866-600-1898, or you can go to Adam Likes Goldco. That's Adam Likes Goldco, and they'll give you up to $10,000 in free silver when you open an account. That's Adam Likes Goldco. All right.
Adam, let's take that back. I believe it's adamlikesgold.com.
Oh, I'm sorry. You want to just get that?
Yeah.
It's adamlikesgold.com. You can get up to $10,000 in free silver when you open an account. That's adamlikesgold.com.
Give me one more for safety.
adamlikesgold.com. Sorry. All right. Ahmed Ahmed is going to join us. We'll talk stand-up and beyond right after this.
And now, from the cutting room floor of the 2021 ACE Awards, honorable mention for most uncomfortable moment, Gina and Brian.
I don't mean to be morbid, but technically you're terminally ill with cancer, Brian. You're not going to go up and try and...
Dare you?
But isn't that what terminal means?
No, it means the cancer will progress and kill you.
I thought terminal means incurable.
Inoperable is actually a different thing.
Inoperable.
But anyway, be that as it may, the thing I've thought about is...
Gina, remember the nice nurse telling your finger wasn't that bad?
Yeah.
How about you let a little of that wash over you as it pertains to Brian's tumor? Remember how good you felt?
I did. I felt so relieved.
And how frightened you were when she said, "Oh my God, this is bad." Remember that feeling?
Yeah.
Tell me again.
Revisit that feeling.
Yeah, how my cancer can't... Nothing we done about it. I want to get the script for Tessa.
I'm just saying that he didn't...
Join us in 10 and a half months for the 2022 ACE Awards.
Actor, comedian Ahmed Ahmed has joined us. Got a podcast called Hollywood Tales, and you can see his weekly live show every Thursday at Cruisers in Huntington Beach. And we're doing a live show in Huntington Beach at Sea Legs. That'll be coming up May 20th. I did stand up there. Ooh,
last summer.
Last summer?
Yeah.
It was fun.
Oh, are you kidding? You were like one of the best acts that came through there.
Really?
Yeah, because we had, it was right in the height of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And, the venue's outside. It's on the beach. It's 500. It was about 500 people, but then there's an extra, few hundred.
Looky-loos.
Yeah, because there's no barrier wall, so we call it Cheap Beach.
Yeah, it's the strand kind of. It's a strandy kind of thing, and at some point, people just wander over, like the Neil Diamond, the tree people at the Greek. I think he said, "Hey, it's calling out to the tree people up there." And the people go to the very back of the place. Mm-hmm. I think it was the Greek.
I mean, it sounds
and they'd
it could
climb
be
up the trees.
Yeah, sure.
The tree people.
That's where the Greek is.
Look, the Carollas would have been tree people, but we weren't good enough to be. We didn't have enough energy. Like, hey, Dad, you want to go climb a tree? But the people at the beach who watch the stand-up for free, the tree people at the Greek, or the people that slow down as they pass on the freeway by drive-in movie theater just to see a little free movie.
Or Wrigley Field in Chicago.
That's right.
Get up on the roof.
They have all these apartments and condos where people just watch the game.
I've seen a game from there.
Have you?
For Wrigley? Yeah. Now that used to be just like a place people went because they lived there.
Right.
Now they sell tickets and they have barbecues and for real. They have barbecue dogs and burgers and they have I guess there's some permanent bleachers. There's seats.
They finally wised up.
They finally
really
wised
did,
up.
yeah.
Well, that's what they did at Sea Legs. People would show up, but they didn't want to pay the ticket. They knew they could watch the show from the other side of the beach. And they would post up with tents and bean bags and barbecuing. And some guy had a taco truck one time. And but it's fun. So they're opening it up to 1,500 seats. And I think you're going to be one of the first acts to come back. Nice. So thanks. And you're doing your podcast too, which is going to be cool.
Right. It's a great it's a fun venue. There's something about the venue, like when people are outdoors and they have their drinks and they spread their blankets out and stuff. It just takes on a little different vibe than a kind of windowless club with a low ceiling. You know, it's just it's a different vibe.
It's like it's almost like a festival vibe. And I remember when you were there, as I mentioned, you know, we had, you know, everybody was coming through there during the pandemic. It was Tiffany Haddish, Jeff Ross, Bill Burr did it. Fortune Feimster came through, but you were, I think, one of the few or only acts that stuck around and did meet and greets, and a lot of people wouldn't do that.
There's
like you shook everybody's hand. You took pictures with probably 500 people.
He's been trying to get COVID for 2 years, and he can't get the damn thing.
I know. Well, okay. Well, let's talk about that. There's a few versions of that. There are the people who want. There's the people that want like $10 a picture or something. They're like those people.
Like
Jeremy Piven.
Jeremy Piven did that. He charged $25
Oy vey.
to do a meet and greet and picture.
There was the critical race theory guy. I think Ingram X Kendi or whatever his name is. The guy, one of the critical race guys. He gets booked for like $40,000 to go play this college camp or lecture at this college camp, then wants another $10,000 for the meet and greet afterward. And it's like, I mean, I get it. It's a business. You're leaving the house, you're getting paid and all that kind of shit. On the other hand, if people want to wait in line to shake your hand,
You should be so lucky.
it just feels like you're pushing it a little, going, give me $8. And I don't like the optics of it, number one. But then number two, I grew up in such a way where that just wouldn't be acceptable.
Right.
To me, it's not like we don't litter because littering is bad. We don't litter because I can't litter. I can't roll a window down and throw a bunch of shit out of the window when I'm traveling down PCH. You know, I just physically can't do it. And I kind of feel the same with the meet and greet stuff. It's your job to hang out.
I agree.
It's all part of the gig.
Right.
It's the way I look at it. I don't look at it as separate from
An
the gig.
upsell, yeah.
And also, that's your Friday night anyway. You leave the house at 6:30. You drive for an hour. You know, it's not like you got somewhere to go.
Aerosmith's like, you want an encore? Pass that.
That's right. So I appreciate you bringing that up because I feel, and also those are your fans. I mean, what are you going to do?
And you're good to your fans, man. I mean, that your meet and greet for that specific show. I mean, you were there for an extra probably hour plus.
Sounds about right.
It's part of the evening.
I agree.
It's factored in for me.
I know a handful of comics that do that. You know, I remember Carlos Mencia used to do that. He would charge $25 to take a picture with him after the show, and
well, he stole that idea from George Carlin, actually.
It can be told.
I mean, to be fair to Carlos, it wasn't. He stole that from another comic.
I'm sure. Menstelia? That was his nickname.
Jesus
That's not even his real name. I don't know if you know that.
No.
Mitzi Shore told me. I used to be tight with Mitzi Shore before she passed, God rest her soul. And his name used to be Ned something.
Oh.
Ned Arnell Mencia.
No, Mencia was, she named him. I don't even know why we're talking about Carlos Mencia right now. But,
No, but
she named him.
Oh, Ned Wholeness.
Ned Wholeness.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
it's sort of like I'll go ahead and do my Antonio Villaraigosa angle here. Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, Los Angeles, was named Tony Villar.
Right.
So all I want to say is if we're in a society where we're constantly oppressing black and brown people, why are people that are half black saying they're full black?
Right.
And then why are people who don't have Hispanic last names goosing them up to get a Hispanic last name? If in in Germany in 1941, would you add a Berg onto the end of your name? Like Smith, a Berg. Come on,
Why do you
people.
think we're just grad now?
I know, keeping it real.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would argue there's my evidence for we don't live in a horribly racist society. But Carlos, yeah. So I again, it's not an option for me. It's mainly low self-esteem that propels me through that. But I'm like, if people want to wait in line to shake hands, then you shall wait till everyone is done.
I do that. I mean, I don't have the draw and fan base you have, but I like hanging out after the show.
It feels good.
It feels good. And people, they generally, want to come out and shake your hand or fist bump you and take a picture or whatever. And there is a validation aspect to
And
it. But asking
sometimes-
for money is a little too much. To shake my hand
Right.
and take a picture?
But there is some monetary, upside because there's a lot of like, I made this jerky for you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I heard you like pie.
Right.
I thought you were going to go with the angle.
I
of
baked
they'll-
this bread for you.
They'll
Right.
present you with a book you wrote or a
Yeah.
movie you made, and you're
Right.
like, "Oh, thank you for support. I'm happy to sign
Sure.
this. That's awesome."
Yeah. I don't, again, everyone kind of has their own approach to it. But for me, it's kind of interesting. So I don't know, we'll get a little more global about it. But I just got back off. I was just on the road last weekend. And I was really thinking about it, like doing 2 shows at night, but then during the day, it's like we're going to go to Seattle, we're going to breakfast, we're going to have a cocktail, we're going to walk around and look at the sights, and it feels like playing hooky. Like it feels like
Right.
it doesn't feel like work. It feels
Yeah.
like you
Right.
stayed home from school, and
Right.
but someone gave you some cash,
Yeah,
and
you're
you can
getting
go to
paid
the
to look
arcade or
around.
something, and then that night you got to go up and you got to talk for a while. But
Right.
people are nice and they clap.
And they're clapping, yeah.
And they're sending you a shot up to the stage, a
Right.
drink or whatever. And it's like, how does that ever work?
Yeah.
But I do think everyone needs to get a good base of work to then be able to have an A and a B, something to contrast it to. Go work construction, work on a farm, drive a truck, be a roofer. Do that for, I'm not talking about one summer, do that for 2 years.
Right. Real work.
And then see how you feel
Right.
about the line if people want to say hi. So how did you do it? What was your last normal blue collar job?
Oh, man. I had so many jobs growing up. I was a waiter for 15 years. I sold women's shoes at 9 West.
This is Riverside area.
Well, in Riverside, I waited tables there where I grew up. But when I moved to LA, I worked at the Beverly Center.
Oh,
Me
yeah.
too.
Does Riverside has tables? I thought everyone just ate. Don't they just eat standing up over there?
Park
They're
benches.
converted tables.
Riverside actually cleaned up quite a bit. When I was growing up, it was considered like
since
a
you
kind of
left.
yeah. No, they've downtown Riverside. They have the Mission Inn where all the presidents.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, they
that
cleaned it up a
resort,
little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I worked at 9 West.
Beverly Center Brothers.
Beverly
That's
Center.
me.
You worked there as well?
I worked there for many years.
Which
I
store?
can't go in a mall now. It's too depressing. Hugo Boss.
Oh, you did? I
Yeah.
worked at 9 West.
Yeah, we were neighbors.
So imagine
down.
I was literally Al Bundy.
Yeah.
And it was funny how you guys had Suzanne Somers. And who was the actress? She reminded me of Suzanne Somers. By the way, a huge Suzanne Somers fan. I nerded out when I knew she was going to be here. I fanned out on her.
Well, yeah. So you and the Beverly Center must have had celebrities come through that.
Who
place.
was Heather? What was her last
Locklear?
name? Heather Locklear came into 9 West. I was 19 years old, and I got to I touched her feet. Because you come out with all these boxes of shoes, and they want to try them on, and as the shoe salesman, you have to slip the shoes off and put them on. And I'm like, I'm touching Heather Locklear's feet. It was kind of a weird moment, but that was one of my little Hollywood tales.
It started you off on that fetish that
and
day.
it got on the foot fetish. What else did I do?
I wonder how Heather Locklear is doing now. Remember, she had a couple of dust-ups with the law
did.
and some substance.
Oh, did she? What happened to her?
Well, she was traumatized by a weirdo touching her feet, she said, when she was 23.
Never
She's
lived
been
it
trying to
down.
escape
So
it
she's
her
been
whole
trying to
life.
drown that in
Yeah.
alcohol and pills ever since.
That's
and
right.
She's been going to therapy because of me.
She had some, I think, pretty famous sort of meltdowns,
Yeah,
some
sounds
substance
familiar.
stuff. Some,
Wasn't she married to some rocker?
Richie
dude?
Sambora,
Was it
I
Sambora,
think.
that's right.
and I think got into like a fist fight with him. You know,
Not Sambora.
oh, I don't know.
I thought it was somebody more recent, right?
She's punched a few people.
Yeah.
I mean,
Really?
she had a little. She
I didn't
had
know
a 5-year span of being pretty out of control.
There's a whole Wikipedia page on her legal troubles.
Oh, man.
So yeah, she's 60.
Is she
Wow.
really?
Unbelievable.
What does she look like now?
I would
I'm
have
sure
guessed older,
gorgeous.
honestly.
So yeah, and then I don't know if she's in rehab now. I don't. There
If
was
Only you knew
digging.
someone.
something. Yeah, I should call Drew, but
She still looks pretty
She
good
looks
for
the same,
60,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, she had some issues. I
Clean
don't.
living.
But was it 3 years ago or 5 years
I'm
ago? Or
digging.
whatever it is. Who any other feet you touched that are notable?
She was probably the most famous person because she was hot back then. I think, what was the show she was on?
TJ Hooker.
TJ
Melrose,
Hooker.
yeah.
TJ.
Oh, that's
Hooker.
right. She was on Melrose Place too.
They
Yeah.
did Kardashian before they were famous. They were
Yeah.
in that area.
That's right. Yeah. You know, who else went in there? I don't know. I was only there for like a few months. I just couldn't handle it.
What years were you there? Or a few months
It
were you
must
there?
have been 19. Well, I moved out to Hollywood in 1990. So it was like early 90s, like 91.
In what? Sorry, Heather. Update.
This is an entry from, yes, a hot entry from 2019. It says Heather Locklear has been ordered to enroll in a residential treatment program as part of her sentence stemming from 2 incidents. In 2018, the actress pleaded no contest to 8 misdemeanor offenses of battery and resisting officers.
Wow.
Yeah, she's a scrapper.
Who's she fighting? Her ex?
Who isn't she fighting? Is I guess the bigger question. Well, when does stand up start to creep into the mix?
So I'm
After about the 1,000th shoe.
the 1,000th shoe. I moved to Hollywood to be an actor. So I was working at restaurants. I was selling shoes. I was a personal trainer for a minute. And then I started doing extra work. And coincidentally, that's where I met Vince Vaughn, your old pal and neighbor.
Right.
On an after-school special called The Fourth Man that starred. It was before he became famous, but Peter Billingsley was the star. If you remember,
Yeah.
Peter Billingsley from A Christmas
just talked
Story.
about him.
So much Peter Billingsley talk today.
I heard.
Well,
Whiskeys.
Billingsley's his partner now.
Yeah, he's
his
like a producing partner.
That's
Right.
so awesome.
So that's how we all met. Peter played. It was called The Fourth Man. He played this nerd who was trying to date a gal played by Nicole Eggert. Remember her?
Oh, yeah, Charles in
Baywatch.
Charge.
Maybe a man.
Baywatch and then Charles in Charge. And but she only dated jocks. So he joined the track team, but he wasn't fast enough, so he took steroids.
Oh, boy.
And then Vince Vaughn played, an unknown Vince Vaughn at the time played his best friend who was the star quarterback who found out and said, don't do steroids, I'm going to tell the coach. And you better not. And they had a
Narc.
thing. And then I was an extra on after it was my first extra gig ever. And I played one of the guys on the track team who, when I found out Peter Billingsley's character took steroids, I like rolled my eyes at him like, loser, you know. We'll never talk
I believed
to
you.
Hey, it's good acting.
I remember that IRL.
And then that's how we all met. And then I started taking acting classes. I started auditioning. I started booking little remember the under 5, you know, they used to
Yeah.
call them under 5.
Very well.
For the people listening, if you have less than 5 lines.
Less than 5 lines. It was like on a
typically.
soap opera. I think my first one was Bold and the Beautiful. And then I just started like booking, and it was at a time in the mid 90s where like, if you were from the Middle East and had a Middle Eastern name or Muslim name, you were booking the terrorist part.
You could be in True Lies.
Yeah, I was an executive. I booked my first terrorist role in the movie Executive Decision.
Okay.
Oh,
With Kurt Russell and Halle Berry,
A little
Steven
underrated,
Seagal.
actually.
Little underrated on that airplane, man. Weren't they having to go to the? Oh, wait,
Kurt Russell makes
Yeah.
a brief appearance, let's just say.
Who?
Yeah.
Kurt Russell.
No,
You can
he's in it. He's
spoil
the
it.
star.
No, Seagal. Sorry, Seagal
Seagal.
makes a brief appearance.
Seagal was paid.
I got them confused.
Little fun fact: Seagal was paid $1 million, and I think
He was under 5.
Yeah, he only had a couple lines. I think he owed Joe Silver a favor, is what I was told. And he would his trailer was literally from like here to your little green room area, and he would take a limousine from his trailer to the set. Like
Wow.
that was in his contract.
what's up with him?
He didn't want to walk 50 feet.
I don't want to spoil this 35-year-old movie, but Seagal's exit is inspired,
Oh, yeah.
it's shocking, and it's like, that's kind of brilliant.
He was in and out, and they put him on the movie poster, but he was in it for like one.
It was sold
scenes.
as like a two-hander with Kurt Russell and Seagal, and it was not.
My interest is piqued.
Fun movie.
And then so I did a lot of those parts. I was on Roseanne, where I played a terrorist. I was in a movie called Steel Sharks, where I played a terrorist.
I'm sorry. When the hell was there a terrorist episode of Roseanne? I feel like I've seen them all.
It was during sweep. What do they call it?
Sweeps Week?
Sweepstake. Sweep week. What do they call
Yeah,
it?
Sweeps Week.
Yeah. And there was an episode called Rosambo, and she was on a train. She was on a train, and there were
fever
3
dream.
terrorists that like took over the plane, and it was myself, another big Samoan guy, I can't remember his name, and Larry Jacobs from Welcome Back, Kotter played the other terrorist.
Jesus.
It was like an international terrorist group
I
that
don't remember this at all.
came in, and
I saw a lot of Roseanne. I remember this.
Roseanne battles a group of terrorists holding her family and a foreign diplomat hostage on a train to D.C. I do not remember the hijinks on that one.
Yep. And so I did that, and then I started getting tired of playing these parts. So I called my agent at the time one day, and I said, "Hey, can I just audition for the friend? Like, can I audition for the cop or the doctor, or just a regular
terrorist doctor?"
Yeah. And they were like,
bring down the hospital, right?
Because if you didn't know if I told you my name was like, Peter Vasquez, you would believe me,
yes,
right?
We would.
So she's like, "Well, just change your name, and I'll start submitting you for these mainstream parts." And I said, "Why? Why would I change my name? It's my God-given name." She's like, just trust me, change it. You'll get more opportunities. And I said, "No, I'm not going to change." I was really, looking back, I probably should have changed my name.
To Carlos Mencia.
Carlos Mencia. I probably would have made more money back then. And I said, "No." I said, "Just call me if there are regular parts for me." And the phone stopped ringing. So then I ran out of money. I slept on Vince Vaughn's couch at the time. At this point in his career, he had already done Swingers, and he was kind of on his way up the ladder as a movie star. And he was off filming a movie somewhere for 3 months. So he's like, "I just stay at my place." And then I went back to waiting tables again. I was working at a restaurant in Pasadena at the time called Twin Palms. I don't know if you remember that place.
Oh, in Pasadena,
Kevin Costner used to own it.
Oh, boy.
And I ended up being like the head waiter at one point. I was making a lot of money, and the food wasn't great, but I was entertaining my guests, and I was getting tipped a lot. And then that's how I kind of became a stand-up comic, because I was making my customers laugh. And I thought, you know what? Let me just push the food out of the way and go right straight to commerce as a comic, because that's what waiters are typically. You're just you're a comedian who serves food. And so that's how it kind of started. I ended up running a show at a place called Dublin's. Do you remember that place?
Oh, yeah.
The Sunset Strip?
Yeah.
For 4 years, every Tuesday night, it was the hottest comedy show in the country for a minute. That's where Dane Cook became famous, and
Really?
Dave Chappelle would come through there. I'm surprised you never came through there.
What year? I remember Dublin's on Sunset. I had my stand-up career was very weird. I did a little open mic at the very beginning, and then it wasn't for me. And then I got into sketch and improv and Groundlings and Acme Theater, and then I got into radio, and then I was in radio the whole time. And I didn't find my way back into stand-up until much later in life.
Well, this room, it was interesting because it's right in between the Comedy Store and the Laugh Factory. Excuse me. At the time,
Which are about a mile and a quarter apart or something.
and we were literally like right in between them. And at the time, the Sunset Strip was popping. There was foot traffic everywhere, and that was like the hot spot to go. And we'd have sometimes 300 people show up every week. And everybody was coming through there at the time. Roseanne actually performed there. It was Daryl Hammond, Tommy Davidson, Mencia, Rogan came through there. Chappelle would come in there a lot. Dane Cook really got his chops in that room. Alonzo Bowden. The list goes on. And then Pauly Shore came in one night. And Pauly Shore had like 4 or 5 like blonde kind of playmates with him. And he came in, kind of.
You sure it was Pauly Shore?
Pretty sure it's Pauly Shore, because he was like, "Hey, buddy."
Yep, that's him.
checks out.
Hey, buddy. He's like, "Hey, this is a cool show. Why don't you guys bring this to my mom's club at the Comedy Store?" So we took the show over there on Thursdays, and we took the best of the best from Dublin. So it was like, at that time, it was like Sebastian Maniscalco and Brett Ernst and John Caparulo and Ken Jeong and Zach Galifianakis, before they were famous.
Right.
Bobby Lee, the list goes on. And then we did a show there. Then Mitzi eventually passed me as a paid regular. And then that's really where I got my chops as a comic, from like 1999 to like 2015. Those whole, that whole time I was at the Comedy Store 4 nights a week. Mitzi was always good to me. And it's funny because the Comedy Store isn't what it used to be anymore. Like when I was there, it's had a little bit more of an innocence around it, and it's sort of an organic approach to comedy. Whereas now I feel like after I left, I got phased out of the Comedy Store. It just became a little bit more of like a political ring. Who's on top? Who, if you're on a TV show, or who's got the hot podcast, if you're famous, you're going to get booked at the Comedy Store kind of thing. And the Laugh Factory the same. I started doing all the clubs. I had a good 10-year run. And then, I just felt like the comedy world kind of imploded a little bit. Netflix was greenlighting specials. Everybody was coming. There was this big influx. And then I went on the road. I was touring all over the world. I was in Europe, Australia, all over the Middle East. Made a documentary about my touring in the Middle East called Just Like Us. It's available on YouTube if you guys want to check it out. And then I lived in Asia for 2 years. I moved to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
Wow.
I just got a job offer there to work for like a production company. They wanted to create.
There was a Payless shoe that
They had a 9 West, and they said Heather Locklear used to shop. And then I moved back right before the pandemic. But I got to tour all over Asia. Have you ever been to Asia?
No,
ever?
I haven't.
Nothing? Asia is cool, man. I barely scratched the surface, but I was in Vietnam, I was in Singapore, I was in the Philippines, I was in China, Hong Kong, one country, two systems. Tokyo, Singapore. It was a blast.
And Malaysia's beautiful, right?
It is. It's a very beautiful country. It's very humid. It's got tropical weather going. I ended up getting banned from performing there.
What?
I've been banned from 2 countries for over the same joke, in fact.
No.
Well, we must
Put
hear
that on
it
your list.
now.
The joke is, you guys could probably find it on YouTube, Ahmed Ahmed Dubai Mosque.
Oh, boy.
And
What's it about?
the title kind of gives it away, right?
Adam, you have to add this to like jumping into a body of water with a knife and having a cape put on you. Being banned from telling a joke in 2 countries.
Well, here's the funny thing. The joke wasn't, I didn't tell the joke in the country. I told it, so we did a comedy special years ago called the Axis of Evil Comedy Tour.
Right.
With, Maz Jobrani.
Of course.
Sure.
So Maz and I and a couple other comics started this tour called the Axis of Evil when President Bush was in office. And it became mildly successful in the U.S., but it got more traction overseas. But in the special, I talk about visiting Dubai and how there's a mosque and a nightclub right across the street from each other. So right around 8 o'clock every night, you hear Allahu Akbar, Allah. Doonsh, 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 Allah. So I'm like, all the Muslims are confused. Should we go pray? Should we go dance? I like God, but I love the dick, And it got a laugh. And but somebody, at the top of the chain saw it online.
Sure.
And they were like, you're being blasphemous toward Islam, and you can't say mosque and nightclub in the same sentence.
But they're on the same street.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, they're also, people like to look for things to try to
Do they?
cancel you. Yeah,
That's all we do now.
right?
I'm not sure what's in it for the investigator. You know what I mean? Like if you're investigating insurance fraud, you get paid.
Sure.
These people are sitting home in
Yeah.
a fucking bathrobe
Right.
doing this shit pro bono.
Right.
I'm like, what? What's in it?
Another country down for Ahmed Ahmed.
Well, no, it's like
They got a map. They got stars on it.
Thumbtacks.
Drawing X's, pulling yarn.
Well, it's funny because I don't remember when I was starting and growing up, I was watching George Carlin and Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor, and you try to cancel those. It's just a whole different time that we're in. People are so sensitive, and it's funny. I was looking at this All Woke and No Joke.
Coaster.
This is one of the best coasters I think I've ever seen.
It's
Because
Adam's catchphase.
I love it. No, but it's become like that. I remember I was on your podcast a couple years ago, or a year and a half ago or so, or whatever, when that guy called 911 on me
Right.
Oh, yeah.
over a joke.
Yeah.
And it's like, and he misquoted the joke. He didn't even.
That's the worst.
You even tell it
They
right.
always fuck the
Mangled the
joke
punch.
up.
He fucked it up. The joke is, how many Middle Eastern people are in the audience, and a few people clap, and I say, well, that's great. There's a small group of us, but hey, it only takes one of us. And that gets an awkward laugh like that. And then I say, but seriously, lock the doors. And the guy thought that I said, oh, there's enough of us to start our own little terrorist organization. First of all, going back to meet and greets, I do the meet and greets. Terrorists don't do meet and greets.
Yeah.
Terrorists
No time
don't
for that.
wear Under Armour.
Yeah.
Terrorists don't smoke weed. Maybe they should.
Yeah.
You'll kill terrorism. They'll be too high to do anything. So it was funny. It got a lot of press. It was a weird kind of press, unexpected stuff. You can't pay for that kind of press.
Well, that's the other thing, too, that drives me nuts in this sort of kiss and tell time we're living. Everyone's like dropping a dime and everyone like ratting everyone out. And they do this thing all the time where they go, you get up there and you say these inflammatory things, all trying to cash a paycheck, get some press. You get up there, you say these things, you do these things, and it's like, no, that's you doing it.
Right.
I'm just telling jokes, or I have an opinion, or I'm sharing an opinion with an audience. I'm not up there trying to fan the flames of whatever. That's you grafting
you
all your
retweeting it.
shit onto what I'm saying.
And being triggered by, literally, it could be one word. You know, when I was recently in Florida doing a show in Boca Raton.
Yeah.
Either one.
Either
Rat
one.
mouth.
Rat mouth. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it means. And I was in Boca. I was doing this show, and I was telling the story about how this guy called 911 on me over a joke. And sometimes I'll be like, all right, you guys having fun? Yeah. Any questions? And then this woman raised her hand, and she goes, yeah, I have a concern. You shouldn't be talking about September 11th and the attacks on the World Trade Center. That's not. I go, what are you talking about? She goes, you just said 9/11 and September 11th. I said, I never said that. I said somebody called 911 on me.
Oh my God.
She literally just wanted to hear what she wanted to hear.
Oh, well, to be fair, I was in the audience. I thought you were making fun of Porsches at the time. So I was pretty outraged myself.
Watch your mouth.
There's a lot of different directions we can go with the 9/11.
I know, right?
Here.
It's funny.
All right, you want to hang out with us and do the news?
Sure.
Let me hit Keeps, and then we'll bring that to you. More than 50 million men in the U.S. suffer from male pattern baldness. Keeps, a simple, stress-free way to keep your hair. Convenient virtual doctor consultations and medications delivered straight to your door every 3 months in discreet packaging. Low cost, starts at just $10 per month. Treatment plans are typically half the cost of pharmacy prices. Proven results. Keeps has more 5-star reviews than its competitors, and you can check out the before and after photos on their website. Prevention is key. Treatment can take 4 to 6 months to see results, so act fast and keep your hair with Keeps, right, Dawson?
If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/Adam to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com/Adam to get your first month free. keeps.com/Adam.
All right, quick break. Right back with the news right after.
Well, we can't avoid it any longer. Let's talk about some Ukraine invasion. It appears the war in Ukraine has begun. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced early Thursday morning that his military would begin attacking. President Biden responded, saying the world will hold Russia accountable. So it's believed that Putin thinks Russia has a rightful claim to all territories from the historical Russian Empire, which predates the Soviet Union. We're talking, 100 years ago. Biden has called for harsh sanctions on Russia that will impose severe cost on the Russian economy.
France should try this.
Yeah.
There's no technical places back.
We're looking at some video as I do this. That is, I believe this is video of the bombing of the airport near Kyiv. Biden has called, the new sanctions include export blocks on technology. Why that? Well, that will affect military and aerospace. He also applied sanctions on Russian banks and corrupt billionaires and their families who are close to the Kremlin. Biden also announced a new deployment of ground and air forces to NATO's eastern flank, but says U.S. troops would not engage in direct conflict in Ukraine.
Oh, great.
Are we talking World War III or what are we doing?
Close.
I don't. Yeah. I mean, it's closer than we were 3 days ago or 3 months ago. Yeah, I heard a theory about this that I thought was kind of interesting. Well, Trump's out there going, hey, nothing happened during my watch. Mm-hmm. And it's an interesting psychological thing because, so I've always said, so there's two ways you can run a country. You can run it like a sort of bully, and then you can run it like Garcetti runs our side. Now,
those are our only options.
They're both shit, but the bully guys, they think like bullies. And I used to say on Loveline, we could find this one. I think I was interviewing Alec Baldwin or something, and I was like, you need to pack on a few pounds, get a 3-piece suit with a pocket watch. grow big beard and run for president, and then you'd say to all these guys, I said good day. You know what I mean? They go, that guy's a big guy. Like literally stature.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with bullies, like as if he's going to fight him or something. But it's like when we get this sort of, waif models, they get the skinny chicks in there, or whatever, they go, oh, this guy's soft, I could fucking take him. Like they're thinking about a physical fight behind a bar.
Right.
And really what bullies respond to is they don't like nuts.
Right.
If they
could
go,
snap at
that
any
guy's
second.
soft, I can do whatever I want. But they go soft. And so with Trump, they thought he was nuts. And so bullies don't really know how to negotiate nuts or navigate.
Right.
They don't know how to navigate around nuts because the best thing a bully can think of you is that you're nuts.
Yeah.
And you'll do anything. I said on stage the other night, I said, look, you have two neighbors. You got to fight one of them, but you get to pick the one. And I won't tell you anything about them. One guy wears a mask alone on the beach, and the other guy's screaming, drink Clorox. Who are you fighting?
Beach.
Right. Like, thought he was nuts. But the interesting layer of this is it was, 3 years of Trump's Putin's puppet. And we got a Kremlin operative in the Oval Office, and his name is Donald Trump, and all this kind of stuff. So Putin knew that, obviously, and he knew that the Steele dossier and a lot of the stuff that was cooked up because he knew he didn't do that. So, but he knows that if in the height of all this, Putin pulls something weird, Trump has to prove to everyone he's not the puppet of Putin.
Right.
And so Trump has to go fucking hard at Putin. Otherwise, people go, look at him. I told you
right.
he's his puppet. You know what I mean? So if you're the tyrannical dictator and everyone is calling the other guy who's got the big nukes on the block your puppet, and he's going to have to overcompensate if you make a move, then you should wait to make a move. I think there is some of that psychologically going on.
Interesting take.
But who knows?
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, Russia is teeny tiny compared to its surrounding countries that they're invading. But that's where the power's at.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, first off, as I've said many times, craziest white people on the planet. Like, hey, I want to go to them and go, listen, Whitey's kind of mellowed out over the years.
Right.
We used to be Vikings and shit.
Right.
We don't do so much raping and plundering anymore. Right. You guys are some kind of weird old school holdover throwback
There was
team.
a throwback.
Yeah.
Throwback Thursdays.
Well, and the Ukrainian, the leader of Ukraine even spoke in Russian to the Russian people and said basically, I don't know where this is going to air. Russia's not going to air it, but I'm talking to you. Like, what happened? We don't want this. You don't want this. You have relatives here. We're, the same, but I'm talking to you, and the people in my country don't even understand what I'm saying. We are not Russian. We don't speak your language. We're not like, what do you want from us?
Well, we got sanctions, but that doesn't seem.
I mean, it's all about
scare
control
bullies.
at the end of the day, right?
Well,
the thing
conquering the empire.
Yeah.
The thing that I found interesting, because I was listening to the Biden's press conference earlier today, and we're doing sanctions and more sanctions, and all the UN countries were all going to unite in sanctions. And then somebody said, what about sanctions against Putin personally? And they're like, that'll be for later.
What do you do?
But
what would one do?
I don't know, but apparently we can seize or freeze or do something against Putin, but we're not doing that. We're just doing sanctions against Russia. But
well, and by the way, if you're not enjoying the $5.50 a gallon gas prices, go fuck yourself, because that's not going to change. Right? Anytime soon.
It's going to change.
Well, it's going to get worse.
Yeah,
it's going to get worse.
The wrong direction.
Because I have two well-established comedians here, I was up all night. I could not sleep. I couldn't go back to sleep. And I saw this picture, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this joke that I made in the middle of the night. It's a picture of Conor McGregor, who's notoriously kind of a small guy, posing with Putin, who's smaller than him. And I said, if he's shorter than McGregor, doesn't that make him a Lilliputian?
Oh, that's good.
From Gulliver's Travels.
That's funny.
Now I feel guilty. I was watching Three's Company and getting drunk. You're hard at work cranking out the comedy.
I didn't realize he was shorter than McGregor.
He's a diminutive little man.
He looks so big on TV.
Yeah.
On a horse.
Right. Shirtless.
Like we accuse a lot of people of having Napoleon complex. He literally,
He's the guy.
literally has it.
Yeah.
We're talking about the short asshole you have to work with who's always up in everyone's grill. We're not about guys actually taking territory.
That's right.
Vis-a-vis your observation with Baldwin, which is brilliant, grow the beard, be the big guy, be the bully. When's the last time we, as a country, elected like a young, athletic, like in shape, manly man? You know what I mean? Like you could say Gerald Ford, but he wasn't elected. You know what I'm saying? I think I went like Kennedy or Eisenhower.
Yeah, someone
You wouldn't consider Obama in shape?
I consider
plays
young.
basketball.
I will consider, but not, he's not spindly. You know what I mean? Like he's not the
not
manliest.
being fat
He's not
isn't
gonna
the
strike
same
fear
as kicking ass.
He's not going to strike fear. Into
Hey, he has a great 3-pointer though.
He does.
He
He's an
does.
athletic guy.
Smooth
Yeah, if you want to play
stroke.
horse with him, by all means.
I agree. That guy. Well, whoever
I don't mean in
plays
shape. Like George W. Bush was in shape.
Right.
Like he's
Whoever
he's
plays the-
physically strike fear into.
Yeah, it's a weird, sad, but Putin's a little guy. He's a bully. And I think he sees the old guy and the chick and he goes, I could take them.
I can do that. Right?
Yeah, like that's literally factors in.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Ronald Reagan he was an athlete.
He
wasn't
played an athlete.
5 years old though. I know.
He was like a big, tall, handsome guy,
Yeah.
ex-actor and all that.
Fine.
He was probably,
Johnson?
Well, it's been a long time,
Yeah.
I think is
I
is the
agree.
point.
Well, I don't think you're going to be shocked at this, but I love that it's an article. This is from Vice News. As young people join the military these days, we have a problem. They call them the Nintendo generation, and it's at risk of more injuries at boot camp because they have weak skeletons.
Oh my God.
Because soldiers that are arriving now haven't been toughened by sports and other physical activity. They're home, they're playing video games. They can work a drone, which is fabulous. But military leaders are learning that their bones of the new recruits, for real, are more brittle than in past years, which is leading to a lot of injuries in basic training.
I heard that most soldiers get hurt more in combat training than on the field. Like 10 times more.
I think this is part and parcel that I'll graft this onto that. But I would say if I was trying to make an argument for how kick-ass our military is, this number is the one I would trot out. I think in the last 25 years, we have killed more of our own men by mistake than the enemy has. Like
absolutely.
Friendly fire. We killed our own more than the opposition.
Are you
has
saying this at
killed
the
us.
recruiting center?
I'm saying, you're pretty kick-ass country when whoever you're fighting doesn't put a dent in the casualties.
Right.
And our weapons are so badass, we'll do it ourselves.
Right.
Before you stand the dotted line, kid, listen to this.
Just in case. There's a little disclaimer.
Listen, everybody. The great Dr. Drew's words always ring in my head. No free lunches in nature. No such thing as slathering Purell on everything without fucking up your immune system. No such thing as spraying sunblock in everyone's face without some secondary cause of that. You can't play video games all day when you're 13 and expect to be able to get through basic training. Like it's just we are made to get dirty. We're made to do some rough play, some combat, some sports. This notion of like, okay, no tackle football, this is all part of the whole fucking world order where it's like, I got a 15-year-old son, they don't let them play football. They have to play softball or have Foursquare or some fucking retarded or whatever it is. They literally do. Like they don't want it's all sort of the rough play, the male aggression, basically we're young billy goats who have to buck each other and all that stuff. They're like none of that. It's aggressive. They don't like it. Sit down.
But
think about
need it, and if they don't do it there, it's
Read
going
a
to come
book.
out in another way.
Yeah, or it'll come out in brittle
Blobby.
bone disease, right?
And it's funny because I have a 6-year-old stepson, and I'm the one who tosses him around, and I'm the one who pile drives him, and he loves it. He needs it.
Yes, look. Here's the thing: if generations of young anything, forget about us. And this is why we're insane. We see it in the animal world. We see like, the young bear cubs are wrestling. You know what I mean? Well, that's in order to toughen them up so they can fight the lion one day or whatever it is. Like, We then intervene and go, hey, knock that shit off. Read a book. Sit over there. Worry about your pronouns. And it's like, we're intervening.
Right.
This is what we do. This is what young males do. They scrap. We don't like it.
The other important thing about that, I believe it was Jordan Peterson who sat in the studio and said a big reason you need to be able to roughhouse is because then you learn how far you can go without hurting the other person.
Right.
So now kids are just smacking each other and they don't know that they need to pull it back.
Said it a million times. Women, this is why you're seeing women fight all the time. They have no governor. They're fucking throwing haymakers. Guys learn you could crush someone's orbital socket if you start throwing haymakers on a Southwest flight. You know what I mean? Like,
for example.
No, it's you. You learn to regulate, and we headlocks and all I did was wrestle growing up. That's all I did. But you learn, and you also there's rules. Like when the guy yells, "I'm serious," that means he is fucked up.
Seriously, guys.
Yeah, that's
when
you're supposed to back off a little bit.
Did you get in many fights growing up?
I got in fights little bit later on in my adult life.
Like physical fights?
Yeah.
Oh.
So
just cooking over his time. And how did we taught a lesson?
Yeah. I grew up playing a lot of football and wrestling a lot and had very strong physical friends. Yeah. And for fun, we just bashed the shit out of each other. Later on, I got into physical fights.
And what would trigger those fights?
It would always be the other guy just going, I'm going to kick your ass. And then I would just go, let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, you're a big guy, too.
I knew how to box or whatever.
6'5"? What are you, 6'6"?
No, I'm 6'2". I'm no Vince Vaughn.
I don't mean to victimize the victim, but what were you doing to get your ass?
Yeah, what were you wearing?
Like I said, famously, one of them, speaking of Suzanne Somers, I literally was on spring break in Palm Springs when I was 19, just walking around. I didn't have enough for the hotel or anything. I was walking through someone else's hotel, and there was cabanas by the pool or whatever, and I just walked into someone's room. The door was open, and it was hot outside. Maybe I get a free beer or something, and I just sat down in this room in this cabana thing. It's like a small bungalow room, and then the phone rang, and the rule used to be when the phone rang, you had to pick up. If you were standing by a payphone and the phone rang, you'd have to go, hello? You don't do that with people's cell phones now. The phone rings, the guy next to you on the subway. Yeah, give me that. I'll handle that. But you just pick up, and I just picked up the phone. I've told the story before. I'll make it fast. But I picked up the phone before, and I picked up, and I was like, hello? And the guy's like, hey, put Diane on. And I was like, I don't know who that is. And he goes, you put her on or I'll kick your ass, dude. And I was like, well, I don't know who Diane is, but she's not here. And he's like, dude, you put her on. I mean, this guy was probably drunk. You put her on. I'll come over there right now, and I'll kick your ass. And I said, all right, I'll be waiting.
In your room?
I just hung up the phone.
And he came over?
Oh, yeah. Two guys.
Oh, shit. And what happened?
He came over, two guys came over, and they were able-bodied looking guys. Right. I mean, the kind of guys that want to know where Diane was and want to kick someone's ass. They were good to go. And there's two of them, and he just came walking in, and he said, you the guy who picked up the phone? And I was like, yes, I was. And he's like, well, let's go. And I was like, okay. And I wish it was over someone's honor or something.
I was in improv at the time. Yes, and.
I was yes-anding, and we just walked out front to there was a cement pathway, that led to the things, and it was, all right, here we go.
And then
2-on-1?
Who won that fight?
I beat him. I beat him up. And
both of them?
Well,
I love how fearless you are.
I wasn't really.
He has a very low resting
just low self. It's just low self-esteem. I bonked him a couple times. He went down. He just didn't get back up. Yep. I started making fun of him because
you have to clown him after you beat him.
I clowned him. I was like, you better get some ice on that man. That thing's eyes gonna swell up bad. And then his friend made a move, and I bonked him. And I had just smacked them both. And then they just got up and left.
That's good.
Yeah.
Did you ever find Diane?
No, the other guy never found out Diane. The other one was just the same thing, just dudes just coming up talking shit.
When was the last time you got in a physical fight? Like, how many years ago?
25 years
With
or
Snake,
whatever. Like
right?
that.
Was it
Million
at the
years.
party?
Oh no. We fought a guy in a parking lot.
That
once.
doesn't count.
Yeah, a subterranean. The Sherman Oaks Galleria
Right.
guy.
Well, you
Yeah.
came close as an adult at the ArcLight,
Oh, ArcLight.
the parking lot.
At the movie theater?
Oh, I was thinking the studio
Yeah.
out front here.
Yeah, that was a homeless guy who wasn't posed no threat.
Oh yeah. Oh, he was a
Although
little dicey.
Oscar De La Hoya was with him.
Yeah, that's true. We're at the Sherman Oaks Galleria, and we were leaving. Me and a few of my friends, and there was some dude, kind of punk rock skinhead, kind of had like a mohawk and stuff, and he was menacing people in the parking structure, like kids and women and stuff. He's like, "Hey, you better get back to your car, bitch," And he's like, look, and he's like, tough guy with a mohawk guy, And we could see him like fucking with people. I don't know what his thing was.
You had to say something at that point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, to bring the justice.
I'm not. Here comes the Dun, 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 dun.
So we like went up to him, and he had a couple friends or something, and we was like, "Hey man, why don't you knock that shit off?" And he's like, "Fuck you, fuck your shit up," And I was like, "All right, here we go." But this guy pulled out a weapon.
Nunchucks.
He had a very scary version of nunchucks. So him and I were just squared off in the Galleria parking structure, And he had these like chrome nunchucks that are smaller, but they were all steel and had about a 2-foot chain in between them. And he started whipping this thing over his head. He's like, "You want some? You fucking come to the right place. Come get it, dude." And he was swinging it. I remember it had a long chain and two big solid bars on the end of it, and he started swinging over his head. So I was wearing a leather bomber jacket because it was, in the fashion in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And I took my leather bomber jacket off, and I was like Toro. It was like I was holding the leather jacket up because I knew if this thing caught me, it was going to cause damage. But if I could catch it up in the jacket, And so I was like walking at him, slowly kind of walking him down with this jacket sort of held up in front of me, and he was whizzing the thing around. And I was coming at him, and then all of a sudden I saw my friend Snake just go flying past me and dove into the guy.
You were the distraction.
And then we threw him onto the hood of a car. And we beat him up on the hood of the car.
Good for him.
And then we took his fucking nunchuck chain thing from him. And his two pussy buddies just fucking skedaddled. Yeah. And then we were back in the apartment with Snake.
It's like the opening scene of Terminator.
I know. And I remember saying to him, "Man, that was ballsy. Like, you just fucking went right at the dude." And he's whipping this thing around. And I was coming in real slow with the jacket up. And I was like, "How did you get to him without him getting to you with that chain?" And he pulled his shirt up, and there was chain links all down his back. He got the chain right. He didn't get the bar. That would have probably caused the damage, but he did get the chain.
Damn. And he never mentioned it until you brought it up.
And he's got those guys. Yeah, he didn't say anything.
Silently.
And that guy's nunchucks.
I want Snake on my side.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck? What does he do?
He's like a corrections officer in Texas.
Okay, well, perfect.
Yeah.
The thing about those nunchucks is unless you're dealing with someone who's really good at them, you're going to get one good shot, maybe.
Right.
Well, the nunchucks have that little span between them, and they're oftentimes wood or plastic.
Right.
This was steel.
This was like Game of
chain.
Thrones.
Yeah,
fucking,
like a mace or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. I really didn't know what to do because once the guy pulled it out, I was like, well, I can't run. And I can't.
Well, the jacket move, that's a good move.
Yeah.
I probably would have. That's, instinctually, you're like, how do I catch this fucking.
Right.
Yeah,
crazy
but I
thing.
don't know what I would have done without Snake.
We got to get Snake on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
I like Snake.
Yeah.
Oh, he had a lot
all
of
like
range.
Snake.
He went to UCLA. His dad was the head of the California bar.
What? I do not remember this part of the story.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, a lot of range, man.
Wow. Yeah, we got to get him in here.
Yeah, at the party you're talking about, he fought Ray at the party, I think, is what happened. We fought each other a lot.
I think these days, to your point, it's just not worth it to get in a fight because people will just pull out a knife or a gun or the nunchucks or whatever. You just never know these days.
Yeah, World Star, put it on video.
World Star. Younger, you know, I used to scrap younger. And even, I can't remember the last time I got in a fight, but there was a time when, you know, I would get in fights regularly. I would never start them. I'd always try to finish them. But I would never like walk up to somebody or agitate somebody.
Yeah, you couldn't do that.
Talk shit. If somebody came at me or like to your, you know, to kind of coattail your story, we were in downtown LA. I was at Peter Billingsley's wedding, actually. And we were going
dude's
to
a scrapper.
You know, you'd be surprised. This guy
I
was
beat the
scrapper.
shit out of what the fucking Christmas story.
Christmas story.
Fergus, Scott Fergus.
We were at his
Grover
wedding. We were at his wedding, and after the wedding, there was an after party reception thing, and then we were all kind of outside waiting for Ubers. And it was myself, my girlfriend at the time, and then a bunch of the bridesmaids and groomsmen. And this guy, I guess he was some like European dude walking up and down the street, and he was saying a bunch of like inappropriate things to the bridesmaids and like lifting up their skirt and like being really inappropriate. I didn't see it. And my buddy goes, "Hey man, do you see what this guy's doing?" And I was just like, "No." He's like, if we see it again, I'll say something. Sure enough, the guy comes in, I see him do it. And I tapped him on the shoulder and I was like, "Hey man, don't do that. Just don't do that. It's not cool." And what are you going to do? But I said, "And just walk away," you know. And it turned into this thing. We were exchanging words. And then he swung at me. And I just kind of, you know, I'd never trained as a boxer. I just kind of moved aside like this. And I just replied with a quick, you know, button right on the chin. And he fell, you know, I knocked him out. And then I pulled in one of those Muhammad Ali moves. I just went like this.
Hands up, shuffle.
And my girlfriend was like, "What the fuck? What? You just fucking hit that guy?" I was like, "He swung at me. What do you want me to do?"
Yeah.
And then I was the bad guy.
It's now sanctioned.
I was a bad guy.
You didn't get like a free pussy coupon for the rest of the year?
Don't do that.
That's Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
I had, you know, and then, you know, everyone was like, well, it was a weird thing because I remember we had gone to dinner the next night, and Vince was at the wedding too, but he didn't see this altercation. So Vince was like, "Hey man, I heard you got in a fight last night." I said, "It wasn't a fight. I knocked this guy out." He looked at my girlfriend and he goes, did he deserve it? And she goes, "No."
She sold you out.
She sold me out. And then
She's gotta go.
And then Vince looks at me and he goes, did he deserve it? And I said, "You're goddamn right he did." And he said, "Would you do it again?" And I said, 100%. And then Vince looks at me and he goes,
The wink.
"Good job." You know, he scraps. He used to be a scrapper.
Vince is a scrapper. guy.
Looming, yeah.
He used to fight a lot.
Wow.
We used to get in fights all the time in Hollywood when we were growing up.
A lot of fighting is based on most people assuming other people don't want to fight. So
Right.
they have this kind of. It's like you're playing cards with someone who's not that good, and you got a pair of deuces, and you go, "I'm all in, I'm pocket." And the person, most people are like, "Oh, fold," you know,
Right.
but they're not prepared usually when guys are like, "Let's do it." This weapon. Chris may have found my weapon, the Kasari Fundu.
The hell?
The chain.
that's it.
Oh, it's the chain with the weights on the end, on each end, used in Japan.
Wow.
And in parts of
And
Sherman Oaks. Evidently. They've jumped the border. They're into Sherman Oaks. They've made it to the Galleria.
That's a crazy looking weapon.
Yeah.
It'll cause damage because once they whip it around, the fucking metal thing hits you in the head or something, you'll get jacked up.
It also looks like a sex toy of some sort.
Oh, very much so.
Right?
Yeah, well,
S&M.
that's another snake story for later. All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Here's all the guys I've slept with.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Well, I'll be in Waukegan, Illinois, coming up in the Genesee Theater March 10th, and then we're going to KC and Austin and Indianapolis. Hollywood Tales is Ahmed Ahmed's new podcast, and you can see weekly live shows every Thursday at Cruisers in Huntington Beach, and you'll see us do the live pod in Huntington Beach at Sea Lakes. That'll be May 20th. And Suzanne Somers with Gut Renew, and you can go to SuzanneSomers.com. Thanks, Ahmed, for coming in.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thank you guys. Always a lot of fun.
Until next time, Adam Carolla for Ahmed Ahmed and Suzanne Somers and Gina Grant and Bo Bryan saying mahalo.
It's like when my wife says, Joe, we should consider leaving LA. Bullshit. We're not leaving. Okay, our parents came here with nothing. This city has given us so many opportunities, it's gone to shit. And I'm tired of it. And I can only have done so much as a one of 15 members. And why should we leave?